I've spent the last 3 years building websites for real clients, and the ones that sell all have something in common. It's not that they look expensive or fancy, or they have really cool animations or features. They're built around how our brains actually make purchasing decisions, like where our eyes go when they first get onto the website, and how many choices we can handle before we shut down. Most business owners don't even know this is happening with their websites, and it's working against them, not for them. So today I'm going to walk you through 5 principles that separate sites that look good from sites that actually get results. And you can check each one on your own site today. A lot of business owners come to me with the same problem. Their site looks completely fine. Sometimes it's even professional. The main issue is that their phone, forms, or just any way to get in contact with them isn't working. They assume that they need better photos, a fancier layout, or even some cool animations, but that usually doesn't help. The real issue with their website is that it doesn't guide visitors to make a decision. When someone lands on your website, their brain starts making a sequence of tiny judgments about whether to trust what they see, whether the page is easy to understand, or whether they should take action at all. Most websites look nice, but they create friction at every one of those steps. The sites that sell are built completely different, and it revolves around how our brain makes those buying decisions. Your goal after this video should be to go onto your website, look at the 5 principles, and see if any of them don't apply with your website, and fix them right away. The first principle starts before anyone reads a word on your page. A study in 2006 showed that people make an opinion about your website in less than 50 milliseconds. That's less than the time it takes for you to blink. And in that time, visitors aren't even reading your website, or they're not even looking at your services to see if it's a right fit. They're just reacting to the overall look in that split second, and that reaction forms every other opinion that they have on your site. This is called the halo effect, which means our brains let that first impression influence everything that follows. If the top of your homepage looks clean, professional, and intentional, visitors can automatically assume that your products are high quality. But if the hero section is cluttered, the image is low resolution, and there's just too many things happening, that negative first impression sticks. Now, no matter what they read on your website, whether it's your best copy, whether it's your best images, that negative impact is going to linger on them. I saw this with a client I was working with last year who had a decent looking site, just the bookings were not falling in place. We didn't change their services or pricing. We just cleared up the hero section with a better photo, better heading, better copy. And a few hours after the site went live, I got a message from the client saying that they sold one of their high ticket offers. The hero section, which is the first thing that appears when viewers go on your site, is the most important real estate you can have. A weak hero section creates a negative halo that impacts everything else on your site, and a strong one makes the rest of your site seem more credible and more high quality. But a great first impression won't carry on to everything else on your site. This brings us to cognitive fluency, which is just an easy way to say that our brains like things simple. They don't like things overly complex. When a website is simple, clean, and intuitive, the visitor feels in control and they feel calm. When the website's cluttered, confusing, or overloaded with information, the viewer's brain just starts working even harder. That creates stress, and they just feel uncomfortable on your site. A few years ago, when I was starting my web design business, someone told me that you need to have text and copy that even a 2-year-old can understand. The easier to make it to read, the clearer it becomes to the visitor what they have to do. You've probably landed on sites that was packed with pop-ups, sidebars, and like 10 different messages, all shouting for attention. You probably didn't come away thinking the company was impressive or worth remembering. You probably just felt overwhelmed and left. That's cognitive load in action, and that's the enemy of conversions. I had a client whose service page was a wall of text describing every single thing they could do. It was impressive, but no one was booking because visitors couldn't figure out where to start. We cut the page down to 3 core offerings with clear descriptions and gave each one its own breathing room. It felt like a completely different experience, and bookings went up because visitors could finally think straight. The lesson here is that clarity is not the enemy of design. In my experience, clarity is actually good design. Sometimes simple is better. This leads directly into something that sounds backwards, but the data backs it up. Most business owners think that giving visitors more options is better. They want to offer more services, more buttons, more things to click on. But the research shows that the opposite is true. In a famous study from the year 2000, researchers set up a jam tasting booth. On one day, they offered 24 different jams. On the other day, they offered 6. The one with 24 options attracted more people, but the one with 6 options actually sold more, and it was as much as 10 times more. This is decision fatigue, and your homepage probably suffers from that right now. When you give someone too many choices, their brain just ends up burning through energy trying to compare them all, and they end up choosing none of them at all. I see this all the time on homepages with 5 different call to action buttons. The owner thinks they're being helpful by offering a menu of options, but in reality, the visitors just get frozen. What actually works is having 1 or 2 clear actions on each page. If you want them to book a call, make that the obvious next step on the whole page. If you want them to buy, put the purchase button up front and center. You can always give them more options later, but only after they take that first step. Once you've simplified those choices, you still need to give them a reason for them to trust you. This is where social proof comes in. And I'm not just talking about a testimonial page that's buried in your menu somewhere. I'm talking about placing trust signals in the areas where visitors start to have hesitations. About 92% of consumers say that they hesitate buying a product if they can't find any reviews. I'm actually one of those people. And 88% trust online reviews just as much as a personal recommendation from a family or a friend. In the B2B world, a well-placed social proof can increase conversions by as much as 270%. That's not small at all. So here's what you should do. Put a short testimonial right next to your call to action button instead of burying it inside a separate page, and add a trust badge or client logo near your pricing so visitors see it when they need reassurance. Show real results and real names if possible. I moved the testimonial block from the bottom of a client's homepage to right beside their booking button, and it made a difference in how many people clicked. The testimonial stayed the same. The only thing that changed was where the visitors found it on the page. There's one last piece that really determines whether all of this works. You can have the right message, the right testimonials, and the right offer, but none of it matters if the viewer's eyes can't find it. This is visual hierarchy, which means arranging your content so the eye lands on what matters most in the right order. Eye tracking studies confirm that most people scan websites in an F pattern or a Z pattern. They start at the top, move across, then down, then across again. That means your most important message and your primary button needs to live where their eyes are going to land first. So your most important action shouldn't be hidden at the bottom or hidden in the sidebar. It needs to be right there in the top section where people will look even before they scroll. I had a client who didn't even have a contact button in their hero section. So what we did is we added one, made it a contrasting color, and suddenly people started using it. The page barely changed. We just added an important action right where the viewer's eyes were landing. So when you're looking at your website, see where your eyes naturally land and where they go to. If your call to action isn't one of the things your eyes go to, then you have to make some changes. The difference between a pretty site and a converting site isn't how much your budget is or how talented your designer is. It's whether you designed it for the brain's decision-making process. These 5 principles aren't complicated and you don't need to redesign your whole site just to use them. Pick just one of these principles this week and audit your website against it. After you make those changes, I'm sure you'll see your conversion start to pick up. If you happen to be a web designer looking to sharpen your skills, I break down 5 harsh truths every web designer learns too late in the video that just appeared on screen. I'll see you there.